Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Driveway Engineer. I'm JR. I'm actually back in my office. Believe it or not, for like months my lights were out and I didn't know how to change track lights. You just squeeze them and they pop out. Who knew? Track lighting's a little before my time, but so is my house. So I have had some interesting conversations this week on the internet, and it's kind of brought up some things that have been brought up before that we talked about before that we all are kind of aware are happening. One of which is, how do you know what to do while you're at it, and the other is like, how cheap or how expensive, how much do slops cost. So this is my dream of a Firehawk, by the way. This is my Firebird. If you're a regular subscriber of the channel, you know I picked this up like 2 weeks ago. I don't have any intention of actually doing anything with it right now. I kind of am in the middle of putting my Toyota back together whenever the head comes back from the machine shop. And I have a full frame-off rebuild going on in OBS Ford. And I'm also trying to get my C10 step side ready for the summer. The Firebird was just something, it's cool. I've always wanted one. I've always wanted a Firehawk. I'm not going to pay for a Firehawk because then I want to be able to have 6 other projects at once. So I bought it for $500. I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. Sold. And the reason that I did this is because I've done these other different targets of opportunity over the years. This is, if you're not a long-time viewer, this is me last summer taking a 6-liter out of the core return pile. This engine runs, by the way. It was locked up when I got it with dirt. The videos are on the channel. Like, this stuff's all... I got called a liar for this price list, like, all over the F-body groups. Because F-body people are the most stuck-up people who can't afford Corvettes in the world. And in their mind, there's just simply no way other than pulling out your credit card and buying everything the way that it should be. F-bodies have always had the value of being rear-wheel drive and accepting a V8, and you can just kind of slap them together and have a good time. And now, for whatever reason, these guys are all stuck up and SOP, GMGG. I don't know what their deal is. But anyway, this was in the core return. It was packed full of mud and carbon and sludge, and I took it apart, cleaned it out. The videos are all on the channel, but I'll kind of cover them. I said it was $90. I was wrong. It looks like it was $109.22. Woo! Blood orange honey. It's got some burps in it. I think I got the prices switched between this and my 4L80, but it was funny because some dude's like, he still didn't believe me. He was like, I can post a video and say that I bought a ZR. This isn't for, like, those of you who are like, oh, whatever, just buy an LS car. This video is not for you, and I don't really give a fuck what you think. This video is for the kid who's like, man, I have this 3.4 Camaro, and it's pretty nice, and I'd like to swap it, and those people are in his ear. You can swap it. You have to shop around. You have to be patient. It's going to take a long time, or you're going to spend a lot of money. If you just decide, like, on Friday that you're going to be driving a V8 by Monday, you're going to spend all the money. But there's options. So I paid $109 for the engine. I didn't put a picture, but I'll have a link. I'm actually going to put this all in a playlist. I'll have a link to the video down below. I pulled a 6-liter in the junkyard last fall just to show the process and how I do it. And when I sold, I paid like $275 for that engine. So even if I didn't pay $109, even if I'm lying, they're only $275 at the pick and pull. I sold that engine for like $900, and the guy did not want the harness and ECU. So I'm going to say that it's free, but, you know, you could do the magazine thing where you make the argument that I got paid $700 to take the harness and ECU. I'm not going to do that. This is where things are go kind of sideways. And my Firebird in particular is a little wacky, and it kind of dictates the choices that I make. So my car is a Formula. It's an LT1 car. It's already a V8 car. The problem is that the 94 4L60 is quirky. And so, like, doing like a 411 swap to keep the LT1 and eliminate the OptiSpark, I would give up control of the 4L60, or I'd have to swap to a newer 4L60. I already have a 4L60 that I literally found on the ground in Canada. I can't remember the name of this yard. I know that it's no more. Some of my Canadian friends told me it closed. They were telling me it was closed or it was closing when I was there. This was like early COVID, where it was like happening, but nothing had locked down yet. So thankfully, I didn't get trapped in Canada. I think it was in Hamilton, Ontario. I traveled to Brampton for work at the time. And then here's my car, $600. I paid $500 for it and went and hauled it home. And it's in this state, and I don't even know that this car is usable. Like, I looked at the subframe and stuff, and it doesn't have holes in it. There's a little hole in the wheel well and a little rust and a little dent. I'm not 100% that this thing's even usable as is. And I'm not real inclined to tear it apart and find out, because I have enough things torn apart to find out. However, to get to the point, if you wanted to swap an F-body, like everybody's like, you need a car engine, you need a car intake, you need car accessories. You don't. You might want them, but you don't need them. The truck alternator will sit up high, and you can cut a hole in the hood. People have done that. You can run no hood until you have the money to buy the alternator relocation brackets. There's a company that I'm probably going to use. That's what I looked up earlier. There's this option, which take the factory LS alternators down here below the power steering pump. I want to pass a turbo through that. I don't have to do that. This isn't a thing that I need to do. So I'm probably going to throw the alternator over here, and then that's going to increase my cost. And every decision that you make in a swap, it's like a flow chart, except it kind of, you narrow down your choices. Every time you make a decision, you might eliminate 3 other options that you had. I can use a 4L80. I'm not going to, because I have one. I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to use an AR5, which is a 5-speed transmission from a Colorado Canyon. The first gen ones, like 05 to 12, whatever years they ran, I'm not real clear. And I'm going to do that because my friend Nick Jacobs down in Ohio, he, where are we at here? Well, I thought. He runs a company called Red Eagle Race Parts. He makes an adapter for these. So this plate will sit between your AR5 and a 4L60E LS bell housing. This is going to cost me more money. I'm going to wind up into this for, here's kind of how it goes. I'm going to wind up into this transmission for probably $700 or $800, and it's not a need, it's a want. I could use my $100 4L80, which was mint inside, but I don't want a drag car Firebird. I want like a zippy Pro Touring Firehawk kind of Firebird. That's a want on my end, and people seem to have a hard time distinguishing that. Not cutting the cowl is a want. I can deal with cutting the cowl on my I can deal with cutting the cowl on my $500 car. I think I don't mind. So it's very common. I have a Trailblazer SS intake that I found on the ground. It wasn't really on the ground. It was laying in the seat of a van. That video is on the channel too. They all are. It's very common for folks to cut their... Oh, yellow bullet. I forgot this was a thing. So it's very common to go in here and cut your cowl out so that you can get a taller intake into an F-body. It's also very common. This guy's got forward facing headers. These might be truck manifolds even, which is how I'm going to make my turbo. It's very common to come in here and cut this out and stand the radiator, because the radiator lays down at like a 20-degree angle and a stock F body. And if you want to get a turbo in here, that's how you have to do it. Again, these things are wants on my end. A bunch of people are saying that the fuel system, I haven't budgeted for the fuel system. I don't have to. The stock LT1 pump has more than enough volume, and if I were using a truck rail, I could just plug them right in, plug the stock lines right in. I'd have to cut the cowl. Again, what I will probably do is shave the Trailblazer SS and run an aftermarket rail and regulator, and get AM fittings, and do my typical Kemso 340 liter per hour pump. This is going to be an NA car for me, or I don't know why I said that. It's going to be a turbo car for me. Actually, I'm kind of drunk, and I'm kind of on the fence. I've had the idea of putting LS3 style heads, Gen 4 rec port heads, and an LS3 intake on it, that I don't have to cut the cowl, and run like 11.5 to 1 compression and zip around the track and bang gears and have fun. That is a want. I can put that engine, right now I can take all this shit that I have, use Tuner Pro and PCM Hammer to tune it. How are you going to tune it? I'm going to use Tuner Pro and PCM Hammer, and my dongles are in vehicles right now. With a $50 dongle, and turn off VATs for free. And I have truck manifolds. I have a pair of headers off my C10 that are no longer on it. I'm like a drive shaft away. How would I mount the torque arm? Well, I have a plasma table, which I know you guys don't. But I literally swapped a Turbo 400 into my 1984 Camaro when I was a kid, and used some bullshit angle iron and some U-bolts to clamp the torque arm to the cross member. Where there's a will, there's a way. You guys can do this. Anybody can do this. You just have to think that you can do it and not listen to people who tell you you have to do all this other bullshit. When Freiberger was cool, he would say, don't get it right, get it running. You can go in later and put F-body accessories on it and patch that hole in your hood. You can go in later and use a Holley ECU. What about your dash? Well, what if I don't give a shit that my dash works? Did you ever think of that? Everybody with a Holley's running around with their little screen and then trying to figure out how to save up $2,000 to get the big screen because their dash doesn't fucking work anymore. But there's about 12 wires that go into the dash connectors, which I actually uploaded on the Facebook group the other day. I fell down and hurt my knee today at work. My wife's a little worried about it. So, just open this up real quick. I took this off of LS Swap and put it all into one PDF. But these are your connectors for an LS car, like our LT1 car like mine. So I can feed the alternator to my instrument cluster. I can feed the oil pressure. I'm not going to feed the oil level. I can easily, there are 4 connectors, and it winds up being about 12 wires that I actually need. And I can just do that myself. Or I can get a hold of Andy Bry at LSX Specialties. Every time I stutter because I feel like I'm drunk, I drink more beer. That's the drinking game. It all comes down to you, really. How much you spend always comes down to you. Like, how much of the work are you willing to do yourself? How much are you willing to drag an engine out of the dumpster and power wash it and take it apart and put... This wound up getting a $12 ring because I broke one. And it runs. I'm going to need an oil pan. Or I could cut that one down and weld it. I have a spool gun. I have aluminum welding capability. It always comes down to you. And if you don't know how to do stuff, you can probably learn. You can probably buy the tools and learn and screw it up 2 or 3 times before it costs more than just paying somebody. But if you just decide you need an F-body oil pan, you're going to pay like $300. But if you hop on eBay and you decide you need a oil pan, and they're like $90 last time I looked, you could get them very, very, very cheap. I know all about inflation. Peanut, what's up, buddy? I like that there's a random picture of this OBS Ford. Peanut, what are you doing? This is low profile. I find the dimensions. There's a bunch of these on eBay. This one will probably fit. Yep. So 5.4. That's shorter than an F body pan. So, there you go. 130 bucks. If you don't want to learn to weld aluminum and deal with all the oil that's in an oil pan. Anyway, it's been fun. Apparently my dog needs some... Peanut, come here. Come here. Somebody got really mad that I spent too much time chasing my dogs in a video the other day. So this is just for you, dick face. This is my dog, Peanut. One of them. Apparently he's been being naughty and chewing holes in his butt. Do you want to say hello to the people?
Hello, people. I'm Peanut. Ah.
Peanut does not drink beer, but he does eat bones. Yeah, I'm going to wrap this up and go downstairs and chase my little dogs and eat some dinner. And I thank you guys for watching. I guess I want to be clear that I could swap the Firebird as cheaply as possible. It's easy. I don't want to because I don't want that car. I want this car like drifting around a track banging gears. And that will cost me more money, and I know that going in. And that's probably the most important part. That I know that going in and I'm okay with it. I probably won't even start working on this car in earnest until next winter. I need to build a lean-to for Daryl to live in, and then I need to focus on some other projects. But I can pull this in the shop next winter potentially. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it sits right there under that tree. Who knows? I thank you guys for watching, though. Don't let people discourage you. Don't let people shit all over your dream. Don't let them tell you you have to do this and you have to do that. Think critically, I guess, is the most important part of this whole video. Think critically. Ask yourself, why do I have to do that? If it's literally because it won't fit in the car, well, then are you willing to cut the car? Because you can snip away the bits that, like I did with my Toyota. I cut the pieces that didn't want a Mercedes engine in them until they were gone. Anyway, have a good night, guys. We'll see you next time on The Driveway Engineer. Thanks for watching. I'll make a playlist for the Firebird and then not populate it for months unless something comes up. So, we'll see you next time.